Hello, I'm Kathy Wall. Welcome and thank you for coming to our first CA1 Equity Coalition meeting. We have been excited about this happening, and we are delighted that you're all here and supporting our work. And we will hopefully have more people joining us virtually, but we also have, this will be recorded. So we will edit your conversation first. Don't worry, ladies.
Okay.
You're welcome. So we have an agenda here. I want to make sure everyone's got a packet and feels welcome. Everyone's signed in back there and got a name tag. Those of us on virtual, we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves, and then we'll go around the room. I might even, sometimes I'm known to circle the screen around so you can see other people. So we're going to go ahead and have Jennifer introduce herself since she is right in front. There you go. Hi, Jennifer.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Jansen. I'm the Director of Innovation and Instructional Support Department in Santa Clara County Office of Education.
And Jennifer is one of the team members on our Santa Clara County Office of Ed LEA grantee team. Yay! And with Jennifer is also Dawn in the back, but we'll get there. Dawn and also Barb are here. Isn't that amazing? So that's a 3 for 3 for you guys. That's high points right there. So thank you for being here. We also have Adora Fisher. You want to introduce yourself, Adora?
Hi, I'm Adora Fisher. I'm the Director of the Credentialing Programs at the Santa Clara County Office of Ed.
And thank you for being here. We appreciate your partnership. And then we also have myself. So I'm going to turn the screen around so people can close your eyes if you get dizzy. Woo, isn't this fun? And since we are speaking into a speaker here, we all have to use our teacher voices. Can you guys see? Look at that. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Okay, so we probably have more people rolling in, and we'll just roll with it as we always do. But let's introduce other folks that are here.
Hi everyone, I'm Sung Park. I work with Inclusion Collaborative as an inclusion training specialist, and we're really excited.
And he is on our core management team for the CA1 Equity project, and much of his work will be seen in our PowerPoints today. So thank you. Did you want to stand up and model your t-shirt just in case?
Sure. So our conference,
we want to make sure that everyone knows we have a conference coming up.
Inclusive.
And this is our volunteer t-shirt.
Universal, need-driven, inclusive, tiered equity.
Thank you very much. And Sung was the graphics on that too. So we are honored to work with you, Sung. Thank you very much. Next we have Barb.
Barb Flores, and I'm a coordinator of ELA, ELD, and Literacy in the Multilingual Services Department.
And she is a member of our Santa Clara County LEA grantee team. Yes, thank you. All right, Yi.
And next to Barb is Yi Wan, Director of
Raise your hand.
Education Services. And I'm part of the Santa Clara County team.
You are.
Office of Education team, yes.
And she's an equity expert. She's helped with course modules, and we couldn't do it without Yi. So thank you very much. In the back, Shannon.
My name is Shannon Johns. I'm an education specialist at the Diagnostic Center. We are part of the California Department of Education State Special Schools Division, and we support districts and counties all over Northern California.
And they are one of our partners. So we appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Kim Barrio. I'm the manager of the Inclusion Collaborative Program Support, and I'm part of the CMT team as well.
Which means core management team. We have lots of acronyms, just so you know. And once we got CA1, we even had more. So Kim, Myra, Sung, and myself are on the core management team here. So we're delighted to be here. Thank you. In the back, Abby.
My name is Abby Almerida. I'm an academic technology specialist here at the county office.
And Abby is also on our project leadership team, and she too has been creating course modules because she has nothing else to do. So thank you, we appreciate it. And Dawn River.
Hi, I'm Dawn River. I'm the coordinator of state and federal programs here at the county office, and happy to be on the Santa Clara County team.
And she is actually our team lead. Ooh, I know, poor Dawn. It'll be okay. We're all team leads, it seems like. So it's Dawn and Barb and Jennifer that are on our core team here as far as our COE grantee team. Thank you. Myra in the back.
Hi, good morning. My name is Myra. I'm part of the CMT team, and I help with the administrative side of California.
She does more than help. You'll probably get lots of emails and constant contacts from her. And she's taking our notes today and keeps us on track. So thank you very much, Myra. Next, we have Leo. Yeah.
Oh, Leo Malpagoo, Executive Director for Southeast Consortium, glad to be here.
Thank you.
I'm committing this year.
He's committing. Did you hear that, everyone? It's recorded. Leo is committing.
Oh.
Oops,
Forgot about
delete.
that recording.
So what districts do you represent?
Milpitas, Northern Mills, all the way till Gilroy. So 12 local education agencies, including county office.
And we
So
also,
partner.
we are a partner, yeah. And quite a few of our LEA grantees are in your SELPA, so thank you. All right, over here, Brooke Reimer.
Hi, I'm Brooke. I'm part of the data team, and I'm helping with the eval and analysis of the course text.
Which is no small deal, let me tell you, because everything has to have some data tied to it and be collected in a very easy way. So thank goodness Brooke is part of our team. We appreciate that. Carolyn?
Hi, I'm Carolyn Johnson, and I'm representing the Vice President of the Santa Clara County Alliance of Black Educators, and also representing the Black Leadership Kitchen Cabinet. And we're just completing the information on the educational assessment that's been done on African American and African ancestry students, and we'll be hearing more about that over the next few months.
We will be having it presented at our conference. So that's exciting, very exciting. So thank you, Carolyn, for being here. And he calls himself Mel, but he's really Dr. Mel Matsushima.
I'm Julius Husband. And was very involved in raising funds and giving ideas for our play garden.
The Rotary Play Garden.
Right. That was a 12-year endeavor.
Both Julie and Mel have been pillars of our community to get that to fruition. Has anyone been to the Rotary Play Garden? You gotta go. It's the best thing. We're trying to get to have some field trips at our conference for that. So Julie Matsushima's been on our board. She decided it was time to step down, and Mel said, I can do it. So thank you. Awesome. We're honored to have you. So we have an agenda. Let's see what it says. Does everyone feel like they're welcomed and they belong here? Yes? Okay, we'll keep going. I'm going to turn this, well, maybe I don't need to. Would you guys like to look at the room? I think that might actually work better for me, if you know what I mean. We had a bell. So we go, let's go ahead and look in our packets. And everyone should have a copy of the PowerPoint. And we'll be following along on that. If you have questions, we talk, and we'll make sure that happens. In your packet, you should also have, well, there's the agenda for today, our management structure, our definition of equity, our Equity Coalition meetings, the PowerPoint, and then we have our information guide on the other side. So I just want to make sure you guys know you have lots of information there. Our project leadership team has a Padlet where we have information on it, so we'll be putting things on that, and we are working on getting this onto our website so we have access, so folks will have access on the website. So welcome. This has been amazing to actually get to this point and have our first Education Coalition meeting. Can you believe it? So thank you all for being here. I want to acknowledge that Sun Park did the graphics, and we'll explain how that all works, but it's very symbolic of what we're doing. So we always, when we have a meeting within our County Office of Education, we want to make sure safety is everyone's business. So we all know the drill, those of you that work here. If you don't know the drill, please notify me when you're exiting and try to follow. I wore a loud color dress. You can follow me out to the parking lot, and when we'll meet there, we'll have to take our sign-in sheets. Not that anything's going to happen, but just in case. Don't leave until attendance is reported, and we really greatly appreciate your cooperation in case we have an emergency, but we're not going to because I didn't order that today. We want to make sure everyone knows what the County Office of Ed does and is about, and pretty much a lot of people are connected to the County Office of Ed, so hopefully you do know what we do. But we do provide lots of state regional services for the districts in our county. We provide some fiscal oversight, a lot of professional development and training. We're also do some direct service with migrant ed and preschool, Head Start preschool, and Opportunity Youth Academy and alternative education. And there's a lot of technical assistance and oversight support that we provide for our districts in our county. And then each county is under a CSESA region through the California CSESA. And so we're part of Region 5, which we'll go into, which includes Monterey County, Santa Cruz County, San Benito County, and Santa Clara County. And that's where our LEA grantee districts are from. So we're really targeting on our region in the state. And here's our county superintendent, Dr. Mary Ann DeLon, who's been very supportive of this equity project that we are working on. And we have a board of education who is very supportive of our work. And so we already went around and met each other, but what I'd like to know, and we're gonna do it again, what do you look forward to with this project? I mean, some of you probably don't even know why you're here, but others of you have a little more information. So I'm kind of curious just to kind of get you thinking about the equity project that we have. What are things that you're looking forward to? So Yi has a comment.
Collaboration.
Collaboration.
Across divisions, across agencies, and looking forward to it.
And that to me is one of the biggest things I've seen since we've had this project start, that we have a lot more cross collaboration within our building, which is awesome, and within our different region. So that's been awesome. Anyone else have something they want to look forward to? Those of you virtually can chime in. Just tell us who you are. Okay, who would like to say what they're looking forward to?
I'll pitch in.
Thank you,
I'm
Leo.
looking forward to alignment with, not in addition to collaboration, alignment with what we do with different departments, special ed and general ed, local plans and LCAPs. So looking forward.
Aligning. The collaboration and alignment, yes. Anyone else have something they're looking forward to that they want to share?
This is Deborah Watkins. Can you hear me?
Oh, Deborah Watkins. Would you like to say hi, Deborah? Who are you and why are you here? No, I'm just kidding.
I finally got on. I'm actually remotely in Atlanta.
Oh, okay, great.
But yeah, I just was having some connection problems, but I'm excited. I'm looking forward to moving the needle for Black and Brown children in the state of California by taking this amazing project and really infusing its goals and objectives in school districts throughout the state. And I'm the founder and executive director of a Black Education Network, formerly called the California Alliance African American Educators. So I'm very excited to be a part of this today.
And Deborah has been working in this county for decades, and she has made quite a difference, and we are delighted to have her a part of this project. So thank you, Deborah. Is there anyone
Thank you, Kathy.
Anyone else online who came later that would like to introduce themselves? Okay, we're gonna have David Villegas introduce himself.
Good morning, everyone. David Villegas. I'm a research analyst here at the Santa Clara County Office of Education.
And he and Brooke are helping us coordinate our data.
Well, evaluation.
Evaluation. But you're telling us what to evaluate. You're helping us.
Yeah, we're very interested in helping to collect information that could be used to improve service delivery. And then, of course, we need to tie everything that you're doing back to student outcomes.
Exactly. So thank you for being here. Does anyone else have anything that they want to share that they're looking forward to? Okay, I can tell we should probably get coffee next time. Okay, we'll keep moving forward. So just be thinking about what are your personal ideals and what you're looking forward to this. So I like the alignment piece. That's lovely, amazing, and what needs to happen. And then the collaboration piece. And then looking at specific populations and really making an impact on them. So our outcomes today, can everyone see the PowerPoint that's online? Okay, they're very quiet. I just want to make sure it's being shared.
I can't see a PowerPoint.
Okay, that's why I'm doing this. So we're going to share. We're going to share.
What about Adora and Jennifer?
No, I can't see it either.
Yeah, I can't see it either.
That's why I asked. See? Smarter than I look, huh? Okay. How about now?
No.
No, with Zoom, you can do a shared screen option, and those of us who are remote can see your screen, actually.
There you go.
There you go.
You can see it?
Okay, you can see
Yep.
it
Yep.
Okay, that's our meeting. This is, if we have an emergency, you guys don't need to worry. This is all about SCCOE. Here's our superintendent, who is our equity champion. We have our Board of Education. We just went around and did this. And then we're going to talk about our outcomes. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Phew. So
Yes.
today we're going to share with you an overview of what the California Equity Performance Grant looks like and how Santa Clara County Office of Ed came to be there or here. We're going to gain some overview of information of the California 1 activities, understand some California 1 operational information, review the charter, that's you guys, of our Equity Coalition. Why are you here? What are you going to do? And share upcoming CDE activities. We do work closely with CDE, and we will be sharing that, and then some of our next steps. So that's what we hope to do by 10:30, okay? Good. So goals of the California 1, and this is directly from the legislation that was written. It was legislation out of a San Diego assemblywoman, and it came to pass, legislation, and $2.5 million were set aside to look at equity and equity activities for ensuring high academic achievement and other positive outcomes for all students on the achievement indicators, ensure equitable access to educational services and inclusion for all students, and then ensuring equitable treatment for all students. And that was, that is actually the goals and core activities of what we need to be doing in the next 2 years. So I wanted to make sure everyone saw that and knew that. Do you want to talk about the timelines? So we didn't just make this up. We got here. It took a while to get here. So the first, in 2011, was the first alignment.
Was the first blueprint for grade schools. And as State Superintendent Tom Torkelson came into office, he convened a group of stakeholders to look at what can we do as a state and what can we do to get on national trends for better outcomes for our students, and what can we do in terms of our budget, in terms of the alignment of our services, what are we going to do about the upcoming Common Core, and many, many issues that came about. And this was their preliminary report, and we're going to go through our timeline to see some of these recommendations from the preliminary report come to fruition with various activities throughout the state. So that was in August of 2011.
And what I find interesting is that Tom Torkelson saw this through, and here we are. Isn't that interesting? So it just blows me away how he's done quite a bit of alignment across the state, and we'll keep seeing what he's done, but it's very interesting how he's been really working on this.
And with that came the local control funding formula and local control accountability plan. This idea that we are going to have the local agencies control more of their budget and plan for how they're going to use funds. And with this local control funding formula was a new funding formula for various student subgroups. And that was part of the recommendations of a blueprint for great schools, in that we should overhaul our public education funding formula and the way local control will be more implemented, distributed out rather than the central control from up top.
There also, you can see visually how it's looking more at the whole child. And I love how it says cradle to career. And that really should be our mantra of what we're doing.
And notice how for the logo, for local control funding formula and the LCAP, it says one system of connected resources and supports. And this one system idea has been something that has been consistent throughout all the planning documents and all the recommendations that have come forth. To further help the state as we move forward in implementing the recommendations set forth from Blueprint for Great Schools, came the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence. And this agency is to bring together many stakeholders and great agencies throughout the state so that we can work together. It's supposed to be a triad of supports from the CCEE, CDE, and County Office of Education to work together to support our LEAs and schools throughout the state in implementing many of the recommendations set forth from Blueprint for Great Schools. And moving along in 2015, in March, the report from the California's statewide task force on special education came out. So along with the state's task force that put out Blueprint for Great Schools, Superintendent Perlickson convened a statewide task force on special education to look at what we can do for our students with disabilities, because by many metrics, our students with disabilities have not been doing well as compared to national metrics. From some metrics, we are somewhere from 46 to 48 on many student outcomes for students with disabilities. So out of a couple years of this task force meeting together came this report, and notice the title, One System, again, Reforming Education to Serve All Students. This one system idea from the initial blueprint all the way to local control funding formula of one system of support, and now one system reforming education to serve all students. And if we were to summarize this document, it said, this task force envisions general education and special education working together seamlessly as one system, which is carefully designed to address the needs of all students as soon as those needs are apparent. Within the system, students who struggle and students with disabilities receive effective services, learn in classrooms that are guided by rigorous standards, and are ultimately equipped to make their own way as adults. And this is a bold, transformative plan to put forward, that we are no longer going to expect special education and general education and whatever education siloed out separately, but we need to work collaboratively within one system of support, and that all students should be everyone's students, and as soon as needs are apparent, everybody should work together for the success of all students. Along with that recommendation came a Blueprint for Great Schools, version 2.0, in which now, after the initial blueprint, version 1.0 now, in 2011, about 4 years have passed, and many of the recommendations have been put into action. We have the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence. We have the local control funding formula. We have LCAP. We have our report from the statewide task force on special education. So now we have the Blueprint for Great Schools, in which there's an update, and now a more formalized plan has been put forward to what are our next steps now.
And who wrote that? Who oversaw that?
Again, State Superintendent Tom Perlickson. So in this document was introduced the California Way, and that is our plan as a state for moving forward to meet the needs of all students. And that tied in also at the end of the year with Every Student Succeeds Act. So there is President Obama signing it, and Every Student Succeeds Act also aligned with our California Way and Blueprint for Great Schools, because it emphasizes using one system of support and making student outcomes more transparent, providing more local control, and many other things. So it's nice to see that our California way was aligning with the new federal legislation that was coming out there. And a requirement for Every Student Succeeds Act was that every state sends a statewide system improvement plan. And here is our phase 2 improvement plan. And in it, it says, in its effort to institute a single coherent public education system that serves all students, California is committed to developing a single accountability system to identify LEAs for technical assistance rather than developing a separate accountability system solely addressing students with disabilities performance. And this is March of 2016, right after Every Student Succeeds Act. And again, it's right there in our state plan. We are instituting a single coherent public education system that serves all students. So with that in mind, in April, the state launched California SUMS initiative, which is to scale up multi-tiered system of support statewide. And as part of the California way and as part of one system, multi-tiered system of support is the umbrella organization of all support so that special education, general education, and really all educators can work together within one coherent system of support. And the state put $30 million into this so that it could ramp up and bring out multi-tier system support statewide.
And we have many districts in our county participating as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Leah? Yes.
And even
great framework.
And even the logo, notice all means all, and integrated education, inclusive policy, and the whole child, it says. I know it's hard to see there, but it says whole child. So it's all aligning together. So one of the requirements in Every Student Succeeds Act was that we should have more transparency, and not only just transparency, but that it should be easier for our stakeholders to see how our students are doing. And that's also part of the blueprint and the California way. So to meet that came the California School Dashboard, which debuted in May of 2017. And here's just an example of it from one of our local districts. And you see that instead of just one number, like in the past, we have many metrics now. And instead of that numeric value being a little fuzzy, well, what does a number mean? What does 800 mean? What does 700 mean? We have colors. So from blue being the highest all the way to red, lowest, and green, yellow, orange in between. And even beyond the colors, we have the pies showing that the full pie is better than the one slice there.
So if you're colorblind, it still works for you.
So we have lots of UDL there, Universal Design for Learning. And the metrics are chronic absenteeism, suspension rate, English learner progress, English language arts, mathematics, and for high school districts, there is a college career readiness indicator. And we have an overall all students report there. But what's really interesting is that within the dashboard is what is colloquially known as the equity report, in which it reports the same student outcomes for 13 student subgroups. And when we break it out like that, we can really see, wow, there is some disproportionalities going on there compared to how the overall metric may be. So from everywhere from English learners to socioeconomically disadvantaged, students with disabilities, African American, and so forth, all the way down, we have 13 subgroups, and again, the same reporting system of the colors and the pies.
So it's very easy to look at a group now and see their color. We want to have less red and more blue. That's the bottom line.
So in December of 2017, our story continues, and we have a second iteration of the California School Dashboard. And with the second reporting of it, we have differentiated assistance, in which the state identified 228 districts to receive differentiated assistance from a combination of county offices and the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence. So now that plan is coming into practice of implementation of providing support and so forth. So out of the 228 districts identified for differentiated assistance, 2/3 were identified for requiring differentiated assistance for students with disabilities. We have 27 identified for English learners and another 19 for African American students.
So I know there are people in this room who have done some differentiated assistance visits, so you know what we're talking about. Okay, good.
So
Out of that, legislation was written and money was put towards having a California Equity Performance Improvement program. And so that's what we are doing right now.
And again, Superintendent Torlakson saw it through and was pivotal in our project. So we named ours California 1, and it's really symbolic for many meanings. How do you get to the California Way? We get on California 1. And we all know the California 1 highway. And we also want to really emphasize one system. So California 1 to the California Way, one system, and also let's have pride as a state. Let's be number 1. Let's really rise up. So lots of ways, and it also signifies something from all the way down south, all the way to north, and it's much more statewide than something local as a landmark. So everybody's familiar with it. Everybody knows that's signage, and from there we've come up with the Highway to Success for All, the highway to the California 1 or California Way. And we're all heading up. So with that, we have our own digital badge that is our California Equity Performance Improvement Program. And again, we're heading up. And the idea, again, is that we have a lot of clusters of red. And as a state, let's move from the red to the orange, to yellow, to green, and finally the highest level, blue. So let's be 1.
That is our goal for the California 1. Santa Clara County Office of Ed received one of the COE grants, and the other project went to San Diego County Office of Ed. So we'll talk more about that.
And we're charged with developing new resources and activities, disseminating information on effective equity practices, developing and providing trainings, conferences, and workshops, and work with partnering local education agencies and schools and their focused student population.
Mel had a question?
Yes, when you're comparing this, is the program compared to other states or just in California?
You mean the data dashboard?
The data dashboard.
I don't think other states have something that.
Well,
do they?
All states are required to have a more transparent accountability system that is accessible to the public, and that it should provide more of a transparent look at different student groups. I mean, that was a big part of every Students with Seats Act. So every state is required to have some variance of the dashboard.
Good question.
In California, our standards are, the base of it is Common Core, but they're adapted to meet the needs of California. So our assessments meet the needs of the California standards. So they wouldn't compare data to another state, because each state decides how they're going to take those Common Core standards and tweak them to match the needs of their state. So like you said, every state has their own way of analyzing their data and identifying districts and schools that need support, but they're not compared across state.
Right. But we had to come up with something, and this is actually, and it's every 6 months that the data is released, and people can change and see the different colors as we move forward. So it's just an accountability system that California decided to adopt.
This is Jennifer Jansen online. Just another little comment to add to it, that California's is actually a little bit different than almost every other state in the sense that we are also tracking the change of the student achievement, whereas underneath ESSA, it's just asking for a status of where students are at. So our dashboard in terms of accountability is much more active and vibrant because it's also tracking the change of the students over time.
Very good.
And one other issue too, and Dawn can probably talk to it a little bit more, and that is that the dashboard is actually changing the icons away from the pie structure to more of a kind of a speedometer kind of dial, if you want to share that information.
No one told us for our graphics, but that's okay. We'll adapt.
Yes, the look of the dashboard is changing. The landing page and the page that has the summaries. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to have that lovely long graphic that you use that shows all the 13 categories. I don't know if that's going to exist anymore. In some of the prototypes that I've seen, it had it and some it didn't. So whatever the final decision of the board, I want to say it's in October, whether they're going to include it, but the main page will have what they call baseball card looking things, where it has each category on it. And then you click on it and it opens and it gives you the details for that student category.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and there won't be the pies anymore. So the colors will remain, but it looks sort of like a gas gauge where it's pointing to the color.
Good to know.
Yes.
Yes.
It's in the works. If you want to see what that looks like, there's some slides in the last September board meeting docs.
Okay.
That have the slides that they used, but there's no sort of test site to go look at and click around yet.
So this is the exciting part of our work. It's constantly changing.
I was going to say that I didn't want to
No,
interrupt
it's
your
okay.
flow, but
That's
yes,
all right.
there's going to
That's
be
good
some
to know.
dashboard changes. The way it's organized will be a little different.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. And I know the criteria slightly changes every 6 months too. So that's something else, but it is dynamic data, which not every state is able to do that. They do look at the percentage of change.
Yeah, the change metric is half the color code that they assign. So that's really exciting for us in that even if you are wherever you're starting from, I mean, we can always be.
Even a 0 is okay, because you can always go to 1. All right, go ahead. So these are our partners. Raise your hand. So we've got ABIN. Thank you, Deborah Watkins, for being here. We've got Carolyn here representing a Black Leadership Pitching Cabinet. Who else is here? We have a diagnostic center here. We've got SELPA. And so these are our partners, and we will be sending out information to them about this meeting. Our grantee LEAs are listed there. We have our 4 county office of educations in Region 5. And we have Alum Rock, Franklin McKinley, Hollister, Morgan Hill, Oak Grove, Orchard, Salinas City Elementary, Santa Clara Unified, and Soledad Unified are the current projects. CDE has actually called me this week and wants us to reach out to Stockton. So I said, well, we need to coordinate that with our county office of ed. So we're kind of waiting on that. We did have a couple of districts that decided not to participate because they were overwhelmed with all their initiatives going on. It was pretty much the week of the MTSS training, and I think that did them in. That's at least what one gal said. So these are the folks that we're working with, and so it's a 2-year pilot project, and we're really excited to have everybody on board. Next up. All right, so here's our.
So we have a tiered system of support to model our one system of support, that is the multi-tier system of support umbrella. And in our first tier is our universal tier 1 support for all LEAs in schools. And notice how in the graphic it's a zone and there are many of the signs for school. So because this is an online system, it means that it is limitless. And we can be rolling it out, hopefully, after this pilot period to many LEAs in schools as a support. So it's going to consist of online classes with learning modules built into the classes. And we're really focused on core competencies. We're not really focused so much on can you improve your score from a pre-test to a post-test, like many traditional online classes, but we really want to see, are you competent in it and are you implementing many of the best practices in our classes? So we're highly artifact-based in our classes, and we want to see it being put into practice and be able to have our people going through our classes to submit these artifacts to show, hey, it's being implemented, it's being used in the classroom, and these are some of the results that are coming in. So along with that, there will be some readings and there will be discussion forums, and there are assignments and deliverables that are artifacts, and there are some checklists to make sure that you're hitting all the implementation and the requirements for the course. A thing that we're really excited about is that each course has a teacher and admin coach support 2 tracks. So we recognize that if you are an educator in the classroom, or if you are an administrator or coach supporting those educators in the classroom, you need different sets of information. A lot of times it will overlap, but at the same time, your artifact, if you are an administrator or coach, would probably be different than if you are an educator in the classroom. So because of that, we have 2 separate tracks so that we can have more focused information to job
We also really want to
functions.
build that sustainability within the district so that we are having admins who are able then to support their teachers.
And even though it is online, we do have a needs assessment and a root cause analysis to understand contextual issues that are driving some of our student outcomes, and with that come an action plan for how each LEA or school will use the California One enhancement support activities to improve outcomes. And we are using stackable micro-credentials represented by digital badges. And
We work very closely with our ed tech services on building these modules and courses, online courses, and they supported us in developing it into Canvas, and then we are going to be launching it.
And what's really exciting is that we are in partnership with CAST, the Center for Applied Special Technology. And CAST is the originator of Universal Design for Learning almost 20 years ago, and they still remain the leaders of UDL to this day. So not only are we partnering with them, they're quality assuring it so that our material is aligned with the latest Universal Design for Learning principles with the latest framework version 2.2 that was just released early this year. And we are using their platform so that we are making sure that our content and our accessibility is in line with UDL.
So it's called a learning design, and it's going to be a one-click from our website to get in to access all these courses. We're pretty excited about it. We're also able to use their Universal Design for Learning credential. The first one will be our UDL course, and people will be able to then get credentialed in UDL from CAST, which we think is so exciting. And they're going to keep making more credentials, more advanced. Next tier.
So tier 2 is our extended face-to-face activities. And notice how for the graphic, it's a school with a school bus. And the school bus signifies that we go to them or they come to us. And there are less of those signs to show that it is a little bit more focused. And in this, we do more face-to-face deeper dives. And part of it will be our annual conference. We will have regional CPIT institutes, and we will have a monthly online professional learning community. And some of our possible face-to-face extended support will be LCAP and CIPSA reviews and some policy and program reviews, and looking at just, what are some of the things that our LEA grantee districts or grantee LEAs are doing together, and be able to share out. And finally, we have our intensive tier 3 support. And notice how for the graphic there, it's slow, even though it is still the same school sign, and there is, again, even less of those signs. And this is for limited LEAs in schools. Hopefully we'll have 4, and this will be our implementation and improvement science cohort. And this will consist of an equity audit in year 2, along with tier 1 and tier 2 deliverables and CDE recognition at the end of our pilot program.
Next.
So because our California One builds everything that has come from 2011, from the original Blueprint for Great Schools, we really highly emphasize that this isn't one more thing. It isn't something else you have to do. It ties in everything that's come about And all of our resources, all of our enhancement and support activities are part of the toolkit so that districts and schools may meet the needs of all students. And we want it as a great resource that, wow, that's available. It's not another thing, oh my goodness, that they have to do. But wow, this is something that will help us.
We constantly say enhancement and support, just so you've got those words in your pocket. So these are the tier 1 activities. And again, it's looking at our modules, doing a needs assessment, and committing at least 3 hours for an LEA to participate in these. We are going to be able to hook these up to CEUs down the road. So we're excited about that because teachers like to get college credits, right? Next. And these are our our modules, our courses, and we have 5 different critical features. And the first year we're going to be doing critical feature 1, which is vision and commitment, and that course is actually out and people are completing it right now. Building collaborative teams is the critical feature 2, and that is going to be available on at our conference. CAST will be here and they'll be launching the new learning design system. And then we'll have critical feature 3 will include a lot of the universal core instruction. So the universal design for learning course will be provided on that from CAST. Supporting English learners, thank you for our multilingual services team for putting together. Supporting students with disabilities, Glenn and I have been doing. Student-wide positive behavior support. We have our PBIS folks have been putting that together. And then culturally responsive anti-bias teaching. These are all just 3 hour at the most, competency-based courses that are done online. From these, we hope to increase and add more courses and get more specific, but these are considered like an overview at this point.
So Kathy, this is Deborah Watkins. I have a question. Yeah. Who is creating the curriculum or the training for your culturally responsive anti-bias teaching? Who's creating that for you?
We have Abby Almerita, thank you, has put that together through our ed tech services, and we had quite a few people look at it. I'm certainly happy for you to look at it when we get the link available.
Yeah, I'd very much like to look at it.
It's only an overview. So what we hope to do is build more specific into that critical feature of culturally responsive, and maybe even go more specific population groups.
Yeah. So let me just interject this. I've been paying quite a close attention to all of this, and let me just say, as a veteran educator of 41 years, that when Dr. Gloria Ladson-Billings first came up with the term culturally responsive teaching, when she was working on her PhD at Stanford about 30 years ago, 35 years ago, what was evident to us, who were those of us in the field practitioners, was that there was a tremendous amount of resistance from the majority of the people teaching the majority of the children in California to anything that had to do with culture, as though they didn't have a culture, and yet it had been their culture that had been, imposed on multicultural children for, decades. Right. And so I'm really excited to see that that's one of the critical features of your Tier 1 module, because, like I said, having been involved in teaching for 41 years, training teachers and the whole nine, if all of this stuff makes no difference, the vision, UDL, none of that makes a difference if that relationship, the expectations that a teacher has, if the culture and the climate of the classroom is not right, our children just won't learn well. And this is based on 41 years of observing teachers and training teachers. So I just wanted to interject that in the context of why Ben is at this table, because I think we have an amazing opportunity to really expand well beyond 3 hours, right? But make it ongoing, systemic, and it just has to be. You can't do 3 hours and think you're going to move the needle. It's just, it's not going to work. So I just want to say that.
I know Yi and Barb, did you have a comment to make?
Yesterday, we had our training and working with school districts, and the majority of the time we devote on.
Whoever's talking, I can't hear who's talking.
Juan is speaking. She's the director of multilingual services.
So yesterday, our team worked with district teams, and we had a strong focus on the equity piece, because we really believe that not until the cultural piece and also the mindset is in place, it will not be, the classroom won't be an equitable learning environment for our students. So we
Exactly.
need in that work. The culture needs to lay the foundation for the
And
teaching,
so,
equitable teaching.
and we also talked about how it wasn't just in the classroom, right, through the school, through the district, across K-12, so we kind of brought it all around.
Okay. So we built that into supporting English learners, that piece? Okay.
That
So,
was one of the comments I was going to make too, is that when it says available year one, is this 18-19 school year, is this considered year one?
yes.
Okay, so out of those 5 items, those are what's available now. And I guess when you go into year 2, does that?
We will be adding more. It's a 2-year pilot, so we just started in July. So we're excited to have like this many classes, if you must know. And then we hope to build on this, because that's what we're hoping to do. Part of the grant says we need to build these resources. What the bottom line is, we've been doing professional development and working with teachers and admins in a certain way. We've got to try another way. So we're hoping that an online with a blended face-to-face might actually be more effective. So that's what we're seeing with this.
Okay.
I know.
And I have some more thoughts about that too.
Okay.
Especially starting with online. I don't
Well,
know how effective
that's
that
tier
will be
1
versus face-to-face.
I know. So part of what we're doing with CAST, the learning design system, is that they're going to be building a coaching piece, an online network, in our next phase 2 in January. So we're kind of excited to have that so that teachers can then connect with other teachers and admin can connect with staff, and they can be getting support from our staff that's supporting these courses.
So Kathy, is there a possibility that, because just even with PBIS, right? I mean, the stuff, clearly PBIS has been out a long time, and when you look at the data, I'm on a fixed school discipline statewide coalition. This is my 5th year. And we've been examining the LCAPs, for the 50 largest, districts in the state. And nobody's moving the needle in any systemic way for the children who are as your first or early slide said, the struggling students, right? The ones who are struggling, or special students with disabilities or whatever. And so, part of this is, again, it's all about culture and climate. So much of it is about, so even when you're trying to do PBIS, clearly it's been around a long time and it hasn't done anything to reduce the number of suspensions and expulsions for these Black and brown children. So I'm just hoping that there's a way, maybe within the CDE framework, for some districts to finally really, county office or somebody, to get some money to do this professional development training monthly with teachers, not 3-hour, in districts, in front of the people on a monthly basis. That's the kind of PD I got when I first started teaching in the East Side Union High School District back in 1977. We got real PD for like the first 5 years of my teaching, and I haven't seen PD like that since, in 35 years. So I'm just saying, this cursory way of quote unquote training teachers, what do we get out of that? We get these failed results where we've miseducated and undereducated decades of children, most of them Black and brown. So we need to do something radically different.
That's what's so exciting about this project, because we have an opportunity to do something different. So I want to really keep that that need for PD and teacher support at the site level is critical. And if we can't get all the bodies out there, maybe there's another way to do it. And that's what we're looking at for now. So we're going to keep moving on. Next year, we're going to have critical feature 4 and 5 available, and that's the data decision making with academic and behavioral data, and then having them develop their plan for school-wide implementation and improvement. And those are will be coming next year. We hope to be able to be adding more modules this year. It was actually quite difficult to write just a 3-hour overview because we wanted to spend more time on it. And I know my authors here are shaking their head. So I know we have a lot more work to do to add more critical features into Universal Design for Learning, supportive English learners, students with disabilities, and supporting positive behavior, and especially culturally responsive anti-bias teaching. So that is what our charge is to do, hopefully in the next 2 years. Next. So we wanted to just show you what the stackable micro-credential looks like, and it looks like we might have to change our arrow a little bit, but we can take care of that. Moving on. And so these are the badges that people will earn online. Vision 1 is the first one, the collaborating teams is number 2, and then there's the universal core instruction and intervention, and those are the 5 badges. Just to show you that we have badges set up, and Sun Park was the author of these, so I just have to compliment him on his graphic abilities. It's amazing. Go ahead. This is a list of our tier 2 activities. So tier 1's the online, tier 2 we have more face-to-face. So we had an orientation in August with our districts. We have a regional PLC, which we go, each region has a site that we go to. So we'll be in Santa Clara County October 1st. We're going to be going to Monterey in November. We have San Benito County actually was confirmed yesterday, January 25th. And we'll be going to Santa Cruz County sometime in March. They are still working on their team members. And then besides that going on, we have our conference that's coming up. Here's our commercial, by the way. And so each tier 2 grantee participants, they'll be able to send 3 people to the conference, and the grant will pay their fees, and out of county will actually get hotel paid for. And we will be having a whole CPIP track that day, those 3 days, and that's when we're launching our learning design system. And CDE will be here, and we'll have our folks here from CAST assisting and supporting those grantee districts. In December, we're going to have our first California One Institute, and that's co-teaching for equity with San Jose State. We've partnered with them to help provide an equity for students with disabilities, and so co-teaching is something that they're very good at. So we're doing that December 5th, and we have an equity, culturally sustaining teaching equity in action in February, and we have an education equity consultant who will be supporting that. And then we also have equitable practices for English learners happening in Multilingual English Learner Month, right? Oh, yay! So San Jose State and Multilingual Services will be partnering on that together. So we're excited to have those events this year. Next, we also have online monthly PLCs, so that the LEA grantee districts need to have at least one person get online and meet with us and talk about how things are going and what we can do to support them. Next. And then tier 2 includes our Inclusion Collaborative Conference. It's coming up 5th annual, 24th to 26th. Next. And then tier 3 activities, again, we are looking at an equity audit for up to 4 districts. And we want to make sure we have districts that have participated in tier 1 and tier 2. And so we'll be doing, we have 4 equity experts who will be supporting the equity audits that we're doing. Next. And then we'll have a final showcase in May with CDE, and our final report will go in July. And hopefully we'll get more money to keep doing it, to keep building California One. This just shows a little bit of what the project management structure looks like within County Office of Education. Our County Office of Education, the grant came from CDE. It came to California One COE. Our county superintendent is providing oversight. It's come directly to the Inclusion Collaborative, and we're working with several folks on our California Project Leadership Team, California One Project Leadership Team. You can see our Equity Coalition, and then we've got our COE and grantee LEAs that we work with. So it just kind of gives you an idea of our partners and how the structure is. This is the logic model that we submitted, looking at the resources, activities, outputs, short-term outcomes, and long-term outcomes. And this was what we submitted to in our RFA. Next. And this could maybe, you know, it's actually updated as of today. We did get the blessing of our project leadership team. Our superintendent has looked it over. And so I really wanted to have this organization look at defining equity and seeing if that is something that works for them. So what I'd like, it's in your packet in bigger writing. So I would like to get information by the end of September if you have some updates for us, because we actually need to put it on our website. And we have a conference coming. So the definition of equity that we have come together is equity is access to quality education and resources through universally designed, inclusive, unbiased instruction, transparent and accountable for the success of all youth. And we like that it's spelled equity because we can see putting this on a t-shirt. What do you think? Yeah. So if you would like to provide any updates or have any input to this, I would appreciate hearing from people. And we'd like to get that by the end of September. Moving ahead, this is the California One website that is on our website, and we are going to be putting on our homepage so people can find it. And so that's where you can look for more information that we'll be adding on. And you can also go to CDE and get an idea of what the California Equity Performance Program is. And so with CDE, we have some things that we get to do. We are participating a lot with CDE now, have new best friends up there. We had a kickoff meeting for the California Equity Performance Improvement Project on August 21st in this very room with San Diego County Office of Ed and CDE and us here. We have a CDE project management tool that we submit quarterly. There is a Title I conference that on October 10th in Los Angeles that we will be presenting on a panel with CDE and the San Diego County Office of Ed. And then we have joint monthly meetings that we have with San Diego County Office of Ed and CDE. And our first meeting will be in San Diego at their equity conference, which I'm speaking at. And then the next one in October is here, because we'll have CDE here and San Diego will be here. And then we haven't planned, they've given us dates for the rest of the year, but we will be doing quite a bit of joint work together. Next steps, data coordination and collection. So that's why we're working closely with Brooke and David. Thank you for being here. We are working on marketing and our website and communication. And we really, that's a big project of ours, is putting that all together. We would like to invite California One Equity Coalition members, raise your hands, that's you guys, to participate in Tier 1 and 2 activities. So if you would like to get the links to the courses before they're on the Learning Design platform, I will be happy to send that to you. Deborah, I'm sending you the equity course, the culturally appropriate. Okay, well, we'll talk later. And I'll probably have Carolyn take a look at it too. Please contact us. Those are our emails if you would like to participate in any of the Tier 1 or 2 activities. Okay? Does anyone have anything to say? We're talking a lot. Oh, wait a minute, you're going to get to talk. Go ahead. So we need support from our advisory board, our advisory team. Recommendations, advisement is what we're looking for. And we thought we have more meetings this year, in case you haven't noticed. And so we'd like to brainstorm what you think maybe possible work groups could be. We have another 45 minutes in this room together. I would like to have some discussion about work groups that might be appropriate for folks on this team, and then the purposes of our groups and what work you think you would be interested in supporting for us. And we have a list on this previous slide if you want to look. Just telling you. Just telling you. So what do you think our needs are? Let's hear from people. Ms. Lorene.
So it occurs to me that some of the work that we're doing in LEAP here in the county office and in other admin programs, I'm helping work on the Cal APA, and you know that the notion of equity does not run all through that application. We've been talking about coaching for equity that administrators would do with teachers. So that's a piece that I think we could put more efforts into, and there's already some groundwork for it. So I know you're working with teams of people, not just teachers, but administrators as well.
So coaching for equity as a group, I know we have our coaching for equity COP, ELC. I can't remember what you guys call it.
Coaching for equity is led by Jennifer Jensen's group with our innovation and instructional support.
Right.
So it's coaching for equity in the content areas, because we truly believe that what happens in the classroom, the quality of instruction, the awareness of the teachers, that makes a huge difference. So possibly, yes, Jennifer and Barbara is part of the team as well.
And I know Olivia is part of it.
Yes.
Yes. So you have, so that's a resource we have right here that we should try to infuse into this.
So this is Adora. So I have, I'm on the same page as Lorene, but we're not talking about coaching for equity in terms of teacher coaching for equity. We're talking about coaching for equity or coaching for social justice in terms of administrators coaching teachers. So it's one thing for a coach to coach a teacher for equity in terms of what's happening in the classroom. It's another thing for an administrator to coach a teacher in their regular work around what's happening in their classroom. And so we're talking about training administrators on how to coach, not just for equity, but for social justice in the class. And so that's a whole nother level of coaching, as far as I'm concerned, that I think requires a certain skill set and a certain amount of training.
So can you see how that could be folded into this project?
I definitely see that it fits, and I see that it could be folded into the project. I don't think, I'm not seeing where it's been addressed. I'm not seeing where administrators have been addressed at all. And I think that's key when you start talking about building a culture, because that's who actually, builds the vision, starts the culture. And so I think we really need to start talking about how do we bring administrators into the conversation.
So we do have our courses set up for coaching, for teachers and for admins. So that was our whole idea, is that we would be supporting that from there. But maybe that's something we really need to look at, is doing more face-to-face support of admins for the coaching purposes.
Right. Well, for coaching purposes and for building culture specifically.
Okay. It does sound like the culture and relationship piece is a common theme across this.
Yeah, I agree with Adora. This is Deborah again. That administrators set the tone, they set the culture and the climate of a campus. So you can have individual teachers who go through your tiers and are quite great with the children in their room, but it doesn't affect, maybe it doesn't spill over to the whole campus. I'm talking about campus-wide, right, system-wide transformation, and it really does begin with your site admin. Well, actually, for me, I always start with the superintendent of the school district, right? Because the superintendent of the school district is responsible for all of the administrators under him or her. And so just creating a system-wide culture and climate that supports equity really does need to begin at the very top.
And my question would be, and where does curriculum fit into that? Because that's a strong, layer that if it's not part of this whole process, then you're still going back 50, 100, 400 years teaching something that is not relevant to what you're trying to do.
Right. And many of the recent research that really shows a result, outcome, positive student outcome is having strong instructional leaders in the building, really coaching and guiding the teachers to improving the quality of teaching in the classroom. So I think part of that piece is about the knowledge in terms of curriculum and instruction and with that expectation. And in particular, I also want to point out that because the grant is really focusing on students with disabilities, English learners, and African American students, sometimes the administrators also need to understand the unique needs of these groups so that they can be more effective. So I think that part of the support is what are the needs and what does research show, what are the research-based practices for these groups that we targeted on this grant.
Let's go back to your class, the clicker before, or the slide. So we are also thinking we might need some more support in data and data collection and the marketing and the website. Is there anyone who has ideas on that would like to have a work group and support that, those items?
Kathy, would you please clarify a little bit about like the marketing and the website? We want to make sure that our stakeholders are up to date with what we are doing.
User experience. That's what we always talk about. So we want to make sure we put our website together that people can easily understand. So it might be nice to have some folks who could maybe be consultants for us and advise us on that. That's what I'm looking for. We're a small but mighty team. We always need more brains.
For the marketing piece, it really is just getting the word out and building support for this, because we're just getting started quickly, and this will lead to much more things where we're going to have dozens and dozens of enhancement and support activities at the road. So let's go from here and make a groundswell for people coming on board.
So do we want to have like a conversation with your neighbors so we don't have to sit and look at each other and wonder? Let's maybe think about if we could have a couple small groups together, thinking about what the next steps are for us. Okay, we're back online. We had some good report outs. I'm going to start with our virtual group that we had. And it was Deborah Watkins and Adora Fisher. And we really talked about their lens is looking at the admin and getting out there and supporting the admin and building the culture and relationship. So we actually have a February 8th Equity Institute scheduled already, Edwin Javius. So we are going to meet together, and Maureen is now part of our work group, the whole thing. And we are going to meet and talk about how we can actually have this as a kickoff for some networking for admin in this area. So I'm pretty excited about that. And that just came with a conversation with these two ladies, like right here. Isn't that great? So thank you, ladies. And I think that's going to be one of our work groups is the admin support. Anyone else want to report out? I heard a lot of conversations.
I can report out. This is Kim. Some suggestions for having one message to bring the awareness so that we can spread the word. A lot of good connections and partnerships in the room. So using university partnerships to create a pipeline for advertising, AXA or SLPs or school psychologists, making sure on our website that we list all of our partners that are part of this Equity Coalition, highlight the partnership that we're creating, and more about how can we spread the word.
I think we talked about collaboratively.
So like a elevator
Consistent.
speech?
Yes.
Adaptable when method.
Adaptable.
And modified.
At
different levels.
Oh, yeah, at different levels, yeah, depending on
And
the
then you
audience.
suggested quite a few for conferences.
You love to do presentations. Conferences, ye.
Sure.
Adapted and modified elevator speech. Okay, that's great. So that sounds like it's more of a marketing collaboration, marketing communication group. Okay. Right. Next, did you guys have something else in your group that you talked about?
And also for the marketing aspect that it's not just one facet of marketing California One. In line with California One is also the marketing of the California Way that, hey, this is where we should be going to. And, just getting that message spread along with California One. And that's where the nice California One to California Way comes in.
Just as a curious, wondering, how many of you knew about the California Way before today? Ooh, that rhymes. Because not everyone knows about the California Way. So maybe we need to help them marketing, and then we can tag on to them. All right. Thank you. Anything else from this side of the room? Other side of the room. Good.
Yeah. So I think that a working group that gets together where we could more regularly talk about data that we're collecting through the instruments that we're using to evaluate our courses and various activities. I think that waiting until advisory meetings may not really be that effective. So I think that if we're collecting information and we know that there are improvements that can be made, that the only way that we're going to be able to respond to that in a timely manner is if we're having regular discussions. And then the other thing is that it'll also help us as we think about the scaling up aspect, right? I mean, we're talking about adding additional courses to critical features, right? There's a lot that's going to go into that, and evaluation is just one piece. But the individuals that are creating all that course content, they're going to need to be involved in the discussion about, well, how is it that we're going to evaluate whether or not what's supposed to be happening is actually happening. And so I think this would also give us an opportunity to have that discussion as well. And then the other thing, this came up in our conversation, is just to think about support that might be needed as you scale up, right? I mean, Kathy already mentioned that we're going to be potentially bringing on an additional LEA.
Well,
right.
That's what they want.
And
I've not great experience working with other county offices.
Right. And so I know what we said we would do in terms of our inter-office service agreements and whatnot. And we also had to consider from on our end what our bandwidth is. Right now, we're at the point where Brooke and I can't fly together because if the plane goes down, we can't help you, right? I mean, so these are the things that, from a very tactical perspective, we need to be thinking about. We are going to bring on some additional staff, but we don't know when that's going to happen. And so we're good now, but as this gets bigger, which is going to happen even in this 2-year period, right?
Yes.
As this gets bigger, we need to think about how we're going to be able to support, because ultimately what we're talking about is a system that works for all students, right? And that's who's going to suffer if we can't pull this off.
So we need a sustainability work group? Is that what you're saying?
Scale up?
A scale up work group?
Scale up work?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to the extent that I don't know that our advisory committees won't work for having that discussion. My primary pitch was for a work group where we could talk about data.
Data.
Yeah, information that we can use to make improvements.
Definitely that.
And it could be that, we don't need a group for that. Maybe there are these other groups that are getting together, maybe evaluation attends those meetings. And I don't know how that works. We can talk more about that.
Any other suggestions for moving forward for this project from the advisory committee?
I'm just kind of thinking that there are so many different parts and pieces to this project. Do we have one group? Maybe it's a core team that look at how the system forms as a whole. Like, how do we, the communication and how do the different work together and working with our partners. So do we have a core team that we're regularly looking at what's coming up, and have we reached out to this group, or have the group get informed about what's happening? We actually bring in the stakeholders to pick that at the appropriate moment. So it's from the systems perspective, making sure that all the pieces are working very smoothly.
That's a very good point, because we're like building it. Okay, well, we've got some good input. So it sounds like we definitely need a data group, and we're going to have an Equity Institute worker for admins. And then we would love to have someone take over supporting for scale up. And maybe that's just something ongoing we check in, check back. Okay.
How long is the grant piece set up for?
2 years.
Just
We're done June 2020.
So what happens when you're done in 2020?
Well, I'm not sure if CDE knows. Because they keep saying that there'll be more money. But, we don't know.
I think it's a sustainability issue, because this is something that, to me, having been in education for over 40 years, that's the cycle. You're lucky to get 2 to 3 years of it, that's what you're doing, and then it goes away. And then the people who were depending on that later and were really like, okay, now we kind of get it in there. And then all of a sudden, the bottom falls out.
It depends on the new governor and the new superintendent of schools. Depends on both of those two. I guess it's going to be guys. Based on the candidates, it depends on those two guys. What if they continue the funding for any and all of this? I mean, all of the LCFF could, depending on who's in office.
And I think that's an important piece of what some group, I don't know if this is a group to do that, to look at what would be the essential something that could be done within 2 years and be able to sustain stuff.
Maureen?
So my experience is I worked at the Heritage School for 15 Second School District for several years, and was that person helping schools to improve. What I found was that with those professional learning communities that if they're also in the LCAP, well, it's in the LCAP, but also in the Cal APA, that if there's administrators that continue to support professional learning communities that are working at schools, that long after Bay Area School Reform Collaborative left those schools, and long after I left those schools, I saw work continuing, very good work continuing, because of the teachers that were there, and because of the structure of those professional learning communities, along with administrators who support the work. Surprisingly, sometimes I've seen at things like equitable that it's still going on. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about sustainability, I think we need to say, what are those pockets that make sure that that is sustainable? And I think that's one of the avenues.
And I think that I agree with you there, because I've done the same thing in places where I've gone back and I see certain things that could make benefit here. So then you're saying to yourself, now, what was it about that? And in my thinking, it goes back to what was the original goal? What was the target? What was the objective? can that objective be sustained, maybe not in the way that it was designed initially, but someone else picks up the ball and said, okay, we can do this, and this is how it can still be done. But it really goes back to the foundation. For me, it looks like particular programs, and because I work with autistic students and families, those families were touched with certain things that worked, and those kids were showing progress in gains to the extent that people were saying, well, this is something that still works and we have to make it a priority, versus we haven't seen the results, therefore, let's chunk it and look at something else. And unfortunately, I think in education, we have a pendulum that swings.
So I think at the core is equity and social justice. I think if we stay with that, then that's what, and we're building what works for all students in classroom. If we continue to build on that, I think that we'll see some sustainability. One of the things is like you just talked about collecting data, and then what are you collecting and how are you showing the world that there is this core focus there? Because I think, those standardized tests and those results those are like disconnect between what's really happening in schools and what it's like being produced. Because you know that the design of that is to make sure that people, are on that bell-shaped curve, and that that those tests are biased. So you all know that about those tests, right? And so you have to produce the the data collection to show that you're sustaining the work. And that has to be public.
I just want to give, I know that in general, we know that we have a lot of work, but I do want to bring some acknowledgement to work that's been done the last few years with, we're in the third year of MTSS rollout, we're in the second year of improvement science rollout. They're working on this system of support. We had differentiated assistance last year. So yes, we still have so much work to do, but there are some positive things happening, and people are starting to acknowledge the work that's happening, which is why now, system of support says MTSS is a great system. We're trying to do support through LCAS. So yes, we have a ton of work to do, but things are moving. I think now that we have our California plan that's approved by Department of Ed, if we can start rolling out more stuff. But I just want to acknowledge, I know some people in this room have been on teams and really working to support districts. Some things are happening. It's not grand scale where the newspaper is gonna announce it, but there are things that are happening. County offices are working so hard to support districts. Last year, without any real financial help, all that differentiated assistance we did was hey, in addition to your regular job, you're going to do this. So I want to just bring up that there are county offices and groups like CCEE who actually are actually actively working on these things. So I acknowledge everybody's, input here, but I want to make sure that we talk about we've worked really hard the last couple of years to support districts and bring, mesh that big accountability through CASP and the dashboard to local accountability that districts through curriculum support, through the networks that we have here at the county office they're doing a lot of work at the district level, and we as the county office are providing hours upon hours of support. So I just want to make sure that we understand, we just haven't been not doing anything up until today. We've been actively working on it for and we're going to keep that. Yes.
So who was just speaking?
That was Dawn River. She's with our innovation and
state and federal programs.
She's with state and federal programs.
But I'm also on
At the county office.
Yes,
right.
I'm on a ton of other teams that works on different things. So I just want to make sure that we it's baby baby steps, unfortunately, but we are, I mean, I can't tell you how full my calendar was with support for districts in different ways through LCAP, through differentiated assistance, through English learners, through stakeholder engagement and community outreach. Like we're doing stuff, but now the system is finally catching up to the work that we're doing. So.
And I think if we consistently think of one system where we all work together,
yes.
So we don't duplicate, we leverage and we partner with.
And also, yeah, also, so I was listening to in your voice about the work that I've had an opportunity to reflect on why those great practices aren't implemented more systemically to reach more children and really move the needle. Because even with LCAP, we haven't shown any measurable movement for the kids who are struggling the most.
All right, we thank you very much. We are going to collect all this information and put together our next work group ideas. So thank you so much for your input. Our next meeting here is January 17th. We do have a Zoom link available. This Zoom link will be available on our website along with the PowerPoint. So we appreciate everybody being here today. We wanted to go through very briefly and evaluate our meeting. So I'm going to open it up to the group and ask what went well for you today and what would you like to change? What could we do differently?
I would thank you both for your energy, and I appreciate the conversation that we've had on different topics related to what our driving force is for California.
Thank you. Thank you, Leah.
I also want to thank you for the presentation because it really built the foundation and kind of more informative for the work.
Even though you've been part of it.
Yeah,
Poor thing. She's coming to meetings going, what are we doing?
Where's the little snippets here?
This is her third month though. So her honeymoon is ending soon, we always say. So thank you. So Myra, we're going to keep track of this. We said that people like their organization and that we're talking about having courageous conversations about California and its state. And you like the PowerPoint or the presentation because it helps connect a few more dots for you. Anyone else have anything that they want to add that worked well, or what do we need to do differently?
I appreciated the opportunity to give feedback. Your team is always really good.
We need feedback.
And ideas. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. We're honored to have the whole data team here. I'm just telling you. Should you be in the same room together? That's what worries me. Let's each take care of them.
You can just separately maybe to spread the risk.
I don't want to pity party.
Yeah, might be virtual
It'll be okay.
Anyone have anything they'd like to suggest to make this work better for you?
I think the information that was given was very helpful, and I could, to go back and reread this, share it with the individuals that I, meet with, and it's an interesting. There were things that were said today that I did not know, and there were things that I, certainly have some knowledge of. So I think the coming together is beneficial.
Good.
Collaboration.
Thank you.
I wanted to thank you for inviting me for my coming, because I didn't realize that.
What you got into?
That too, and I didn't realize that you had a Gordian knot in front of you. And God bless you if you can untie it.
Wow.
Can that be your quote from you?
I know.
Absolutely,
From our
absolutely.
equity, that's a great quote.
That's a good one. Did someone write that down? Just say that again, son.
That you have a Gordian knot in front of you, and I hope you can untie it. Because anybody can cut it to pieces.
Actually, that's really powerful. Gordian knot, anybody can cut into pieces.
Yeah.
It's just, but
Can you untie it?
Will there be a centralized place where we can find documents in case?
Well,
we
all
need
of
to
you have
refer to
your,
them later?
you on the project leadership team have your tablet, but we're going to be putting this on the website. Soon, like before you know it. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. We actually are going to have a break, and then we're going to have our Warm and Advisory meeting.